Good evening. I'd like to call to order our special council meeting for April the 8th. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none. And I will note that Councillor Westman is running a bit late and will be on his way. So we do have to move into a public meeting. We don't have to do that via motion, but we are going to be having a public meeting under the Development Charges Act, and we are going to be administering a hearing under that. And that is to hear a complaint under Section 20 of the Development Charges Act. So I'm going to go over the agenda and how it's going to roll out. So we're going to hear a presentation from the complainant, and then we'll hear a response from our consultant, Lisa Courtney from BM Ross. There will be a question and clarification period from anybody in the public, and then a question and clarification period from any member of council. And then Mr. Glavin will be given the opportunity to give any other final statements, and then it will be deliberation or decision at that time from council. So at this point, I will ask Mr. Glavin to come up and join us at the speaker's desk. And I think you've been given instructions. There you go.
Yeah.
So Matt, thank you for joining us, and I will turn the microphone over to you.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank everybody for their time today and addressing council. I'm Matt Glavin. I'm the owner of Glavin Coating and Refinishing. Just so everybody knows, we're a second generation business. We do blasting and provide industrial coatings applications to agricultural, commercial, and government clients. We're a company's 45 years old. We moved to the Lucan Industrial Park in 2020. And with our current expansion, we will have about 40,000 square feet of indoor space, 3 buildings on just over 10 acres of land. This is basically facing south, as you can see in the far right, the tower, and that is the town. This is the land that we currently own. I'm here because I'm looking for a credit application for the development charges we paid on this existing area here that you can see the buildings are under construction. They're a little farther along now. Bit of background, back in 2023, the town expropriated this land over here that was owned by the Great Escape. Shortly thereafter, we applied to purchase this plot of land, this area from the town and this area from the Great Escape. In December of that year, that purchase went through. We bought the land, give or take, about 5.66 acres. In the spring and summer of 2024, we worked with Ron and Jeff Little to basically ensure that there was sewer to this area and an easement to run through here, so that when you sold this land, there would be drainage. And furthermore, then in September of that year, our permits went through, and we at that point paid the associated development charges on this, what we'll call the storage building, this, what we'll call the warehouse building. The storage building fee was $32,850, which is $6.50 on 5,000 square feet. For the warehouse, the larger one, the cost was $68,985, or $6.57 for every 10 for the 10,500 square feet. So this was a bit of a surprise to us, because in 2020, when we put this on in a further addition in 2022, there was no development charges, but that's neither here nor there. Through the winter and the spring of this year, we've had discussions with Ron and Tina and Lisa and other people about this issue, and it wasn't quite to my satisfaction. That's why I'm here today in front of you. So basically, our complaint and the main point of contention we have is not that there's development charges, it's that how they're accounted for and how they break down. The vast majority of the $6.57 per square foot that we paid is for sewer services. They account for 70% of that fee, or $4.58. This building has no sewer. has no sewer connection. That's in the invoice in which we received. There's no sewer connection. It's not on it. This building does. It has toilets and has everything else in it. We pay sewer because there's a sewer connection charge on it. So for this warehouse here with no connection whatsoever, we paid $48,090 in sewer service development charges for a sewer we will never use or we do not have. We are seeking credit for this because of the fact that we will not use those services. They're not there. So why are we paying for this fee? That's basically my complaint.
Okay, thank you for that. At this time, I will ask Lisa Courtney to come up. And Matt, if you want to stay there and then we don't have to keep switching chairs. And then Lisa, you can take one of the side seats here. Okay.
Thanks very much. That sounds okay on everybody's end? Okay. So I'm just going to quickly go over the complaint process associated with the Development Charge Act and associated bylaw that Lucan Biddulph has in place. So under the Development Charge Act and subsequent Development Charge bylaw that's in place for Lucan Biddulph, a person who has paid a development charge can make a complaint with respect to three aspects of the charge. The first being that the amount of the development charge that was paid was incorrectly determined. And by this, I mean, if a building was 100 square feet and the person paid for 1,000 square feet, that would be an incorrect determination of the charge. The second aspect at which someone can complain against is that if there is a credit available for use against development charges, or the amount of the credit or service to which it is applied was incorrectly determined. And credits under the Development Charge Act are for works done specific to projects identified within the development charge background study. So an example would be if a developer who's got a project that they're working on says to the municipality, I would like to, in order to expedite the development of my land, I'm going to do this expansion to your trunk sewer that's out in front of my property that's identified in your development charge background study, and then I will get a credit, will agree to a credit for that amount towards my development charges. The key aspects of that is that the project is identified within the development charge background study, and that that credit is then applied towards the same project in the development charges paid. So they can't get credit for the contributions to, say, a fire truck if they put in a larger wastewater treatment pipe. And then the third aspect at which a development charge complaint can be made is an error in the application of the bylaw. So if there's a error in when the charge was determined, or if the development charge freeze applies or doesn't apply and that is incorrectly determined. So when a complaint is made, it has to be made within 90 days of the development charge being paid. Council must hold a hearing and provide 14 days notice of that hearing. The complainant will get the opportunity to make representations, and then at the hearing, council can either dismiss the complaint, they can rectify any incorrect determinations and provide a refund, including interest, of any incorrectly determined development charges. Following a decision, that decision must be mailed out to the complainant within 20 days, and must note that there is an appeal process. So the complainant has 40 days to appeal the decision made by council. That appeal would go to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and the Ontario Land Tribunal has the authority to either hold a hearing or dismiss the claim. So it has been noted that a complaint has been received, and it should be assessed against the three criteria that are set out in Section 15 of the Development Charge Bylaw and Section 20, subsection 1 of the Development Charge Act. The contents of the background study and the bylaw itself are not subject to the complaint, as they may only be appealed during the 40-day appeal process following passage of the bylaw. So the evaluation of the complaint should focus on if the correct determination of the charge amount was determined for the specific development that is subject to the complaint based on the type, size, and location of the development, as well as any applicable exemptions or discounts in accordance with the current development charge bylaw. The evaluation should also consider how the development charges were applied to the development and if they were applied per the requirements of the bylaw. And by that, I mean with respect to timing of payment of the charges and if they're subject to any of the freeze or aspects like that. The current development charge bylaw does not differentiate, between types of industrial development when calculating development charges. It's charged out on a per square foot basis with exceptions made in accordance with the Development Charge Act for any industrial expansions that are less than 50% of the existing gross floor area. The charge is calculated based on the forecasted non-residential growth across the township and is proportional to the total predicted growth of residential and non-residential growth. Any development charges not collected through an exemption cannot be collected through future development charges and are paid from the existing tax base. For credits to be provided under the development charge bylaw and act, there must be an agreement in place between a developer and the municipality for the work undertaken, and that work must relate to a project that is identified within the development charges. A property owner is not eligible for development charge credits related to any services that they are required to construct within their property for any works constructed or not identified as a service or project within the development charge background study. Front-ending agreements may also be established under a Development Charge Act, but again, it must be for works that are identified within the development charge background study and that will benefit multiple properties and has been subject to an agreement with the municipality. So that is a quick rundown of the rules around development charge complaints.
Okay, thank you for that, Lisa. It appears that there is nobody here from the public, so I will turn to council for any questions or clarifications that you have at this stage. Councillor Regan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, Mr. Glavin, I just want to get just clarification. So on the one building, you pointed to the larger building. When you're paying development charges for that one, you're saying you're paying for a service you're not going to use. It's a sewer service. Could you elaborate on that? Explain that to me. I just want to make sure I understand that part.
Yes, so we received 2 invoices from the town for the development charges, one for the smaller building and we'll say the larger building. On the smaller building, there's a sanitary building sewer connection fee of $75, a water connection fee of $75, plumbing permit inspection. On the larger building, that's not there because there is no sewer connection, there is no water connection to that building. So basically saying, yeah, I guess I think the development charge is incorrectly determined because it's stipulated that $4.58 of every square foot of that building needs to be a development charge for sewer, which does not connect the building. So why am I paying for that if I'll never use that service?
Okay,
I may come back in a second. Thank you, Mr. Glavin.
Councillor Hodgins.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So just for questions, clarification to Mr. Glavin. Just, I guess, after Lisa presented that information, so with the complaint process and there being those 3 criteria, I just wanted to clarify as it pertains to your complaint, is it one of those 3 in particular, or is it more just general kind of the whole principle behind the DCs?
So when Lisa mentioned the first option, which is the amount of development charge was incorrectly determined, her example was the square footage was incorrectly determines, I think it was a very basic explanation, which is good, but I think mine falls under that. It's miscategorized. Like I said, we have no sewer. And yes, I think it does in the overarching law, it basically states that you're not stipulating either or. But Lucan gives a breakdown of these charges for houses, for industrial, sewer services, 458, water services, 9 cents, transportation, $1.85, storm sewer, 2 cents, nothing for parks and recreation because industrial land's not using it. Fire and services, 3 cents, library, 0 because we're industrial, we don't use it. If there's a breakdown of it, why break it down? Just put $6.57. If we can't pick this apart, why tell me what it is? Just tell me 657. It's just for me, $48,000, $49,000 for something I'm not going to use. I'm not adding to the strain on the sewer system. I understand the town's growing and it needs more. But a house that has 5 toilets, 4 showers, they're the ones that should be paying, not me when I don't use it. Why am I paying for it?
Okay, thank you for that. And then questions for Lisa, and I think you mentioned it. So we set that rate, the $6.50 whatever cents per square foot for industrial, I guess, or commercial. And I think you mentioned it doesn't look at how many toilets there are. It's just a per square foot rate, and that applies to any development that's industrial and commercial. And is that pretty standard then for DCs to be set up that way?
That is the norm across Ontario, that the industrial box for development charges includes everything from warehousing to more water intensive or sewer intensive uses, such as, like if somebody was making a salad dressing at a factory, they would pay the same development charge.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
So then, I guess to Lisa or one of our staff members, would we have erred then on encompassing such a conclusive rate associated with sewer water that Matt's alluding to, or not alluding to, that's there, that's created as frustration? Then is that a common practice throughout Ontario on that, or is that something simply we've erred on that we should correct in light of being here today?
So in my experience, I haven't seen municipalities differentiate between different aspects of industrial development based on their presumptive water or wastewater usage. It's just not commonly done.
I guess what I mean is the rate, I believe, we really sound like we break it out per that dollar per square foot. I just want to verify if after, when this is all done, is this something we would correct, or is this something that is correct that unfortunately just needs to be interpreted and not create the frustrations for future applicants?
So through you, Madam Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor, just so a point of clarification, the invoices that I think you're talking about, Matt, it breaks down the development charges is one line. It's 657 times the square footage on both buildings. And then there's also, there's charges for a water connection, for example. There's a charge for sanitary building sewer connection. Those are separate charges. They have nothing to do with the development charge. Okay, it's a separate charge. So it's not that the development charge itself is broken down. It's just $6.57 a square foot. That's one line on there. So then it depends on what else, or what you're building, what else is in there. For example, we charge for a water meter. So we charge, whatever for, I don't even know how much, Jeff, is a water meter.
Yeah,
But
anything,
it- Doesn't,
See what you
yeah,
mean?
so
Yeah.
it's an itemized list, yes, but development charges is just a one line. That's it.
So I found it interesting being here tonight, just for my 9th time on council and this never coming up. So for me, it's, learning from it, to be honest, and going forward. So it doesn't sound like, from that answer that there'd be any changes from our end, on that. Like it's not a case of, I guess, I guess the options would be to reduce that would be to build a smaller building. It's got nothing to do with the toilet facilities. That's what creates the charge. Size building,
Size, yeah.
size of the building, yep. Okay, no, that's all I have for now.
Yeah, absolutely.
The invoice, yes, does not say directly, it does not break it out, but basically amended bylaw 25/2024 on your website shows everybody exactly what you're charging and what makes up that 657. I got an invoice, yes, but this is what we all see.
So
If-
you're talking about how the development charge dollar
Is allocated.
comes and where it's allocated. Yeah.
And on my invoices, they were different. One does have a sewer charge on it and one does not. So they are treated differently. If they weren't treated differently, these two invoices would be the same and the only thing that would differentiate them is the square footage. That's not the case. One has sewer charges on it, one does not. So they are different. They're different on the invoices. They're definitely different on what I paid. And if this does not matter, then don't publicly show it to me. Just tell me it's 657. Put it, if you would, I'm not disputing development charges. I know this town needs to grow and need the money, but to tell me I'm paying $50,000 for this building to go into the town coffers to pay for sewer when I'm not doing that, tell me it's for transportation then. Tell me it's for ambulatory or fire services. That's fine. But don't tell me I'm paying for sewer.
But I think then Lisa can speak to the development charge process and how, you get to the 657 or whatever it is, because it's very prescribed as to how you get to that, correct? Like,
That's correct, Madam Mayor. So the Development Charge Act is very specific on that. If you collect development charges for projects identified within the development charge background study, the money collected must go towards those services it is collected for. So money collected for a fire truck can't go towards a different service category.
did you have any follow-up on that just yet? I'll come back to you if you want. I've just got a couple questions, if you don't mind. Yep. So on the building that isn't connected, that's the larger one that you said is more of a warehouse. Is it not connected because it can't be connected or because you're choosing not to connect it?
We're choosing not. There's no point of that. People be working. There's a washroom in the other building. It's just not, that's not the usage. So,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
there's no need.
but it's not because it can't be hooked up, that service would be available.
It could be hooked up,
It
but
could-
at great expense.
Yeah.
And once again, at that point, if down the road somebody wanted to do so, charge them then.
Okay.
Put the development charge on at that point.
Okay.
But right now, it's like I said, so you're gonna take 58,000 from me and give it to everybody else. Cause it's not
Okay.
for me, cause I'm not using it.
And this might be more of a question, maybe for both you and Jeff. So this is just for anybody that is watching. We do have some correspondence that has been shared that's gone between you and staff over the course of the discussion. And the one letter speaks to work done by our clients, and it's in arranging the installation of underground sewer pipe across the property. And I think that that's what you spoke to about the easement. I'm assuming that that's what it was spoken to. So I guess I'm a little confused as to why Glavins facilitated it and why they would have taken that on our behalf if it was our project. And maybe I'll just start with that for a little bit clarification on how that came to be.
Madam Mayor, I can answer that. So in the development of this lot, it was recognized that there was going to be a drainage swale. And in that drainage swale along the north portion of this property, there was going to have to be an extension of the storm main. And that was to service the lands to the southeast of this property, basically the corner of Fallon and Sainsbury, because all the water, all the stormwater drains towards both the Glavin property and towards Heenan Court. And eventually it's all meant to go into the stormwater pond that has been built on Heenan Court. So there is, prior to the severance, there is an outlet manhole installed at the northwest corner of the Glavin property that was meant for the outlet for the remaining lands there. So as we developed, or as this lot developed, it was known right from the very start that there was going to have to be drainage from the southeast come across this property. So to facilitate that stormwater drainage, we implemented an easement along the north side with the idea that we would eventually install a storm drain across that easement. And in the discussions with Matt, and it was very, very open and worked well together. We talked about having to come back in 2 to 3 years and installing that infrastructure. And, the option was, should we install it now so everything's complete and we don't have to disturb the property again? Or do we let Matt's crew do his thing and then the township come back in and put the stormwater infrastructure in? So I did ask Matt if his contractor would give us a price. We did get a price on that storm main to go in. I had Dylan review it for the price. We did believe that it was a good price and a good timing on it to get it installed now. So we asked if their contractor would be willing to do that, and they were. So we put that in the site plan agreement as outlined in the site plan, that what the infrastructure would be installed and what the township would be required to pay towards it. So it was laid out. It was laid out in that agreement. It was installed properly. No issues. I think it was a great way to work together on that. Matt was good. His engineering did do the engineering on that. And there was no cost associated with that to the township. But at the same time, Matt's storm infrastructure was able to use part of that storm main that the township paid for to empty into, so they didn't have to go to the northwest corner outlet. They were able to go into a manhole up by halfway up on the easement. So they're able to access that point there. So I think it worked out good for everybody. And it was able to get in now for the future, and Matt's infrastructure is able to go into it.
So the cost of the engineering you took on, but like we paid for the actual work, right? Like,
Yeah, that's
okay,
correct.
okay, all right, okay. Just wanted to know how that all came to be. Okay. Councillor Regan, did you have follow-up?
Question, thanks. Probably for Lisa. So when the development charges they're broken down, it's prescribed as to where the money's supposed to be going. Is it the same kind of thing where I pay property taxes and some of it goes to the public or Catholic school board and I don't use the school system? Is that it doesn't matter whether you use that service, is basically what I'm saying?
Essentially, yes, because the way the Development Charge Act is structured, development charges are calculated for residential properties based on the type of unit. So single family detached, apartment, townhouse. And for non-residential, it's charged out on a per square meter basis. And that is based on the calculations included in the background study, which look at it. We forecast this much industrial, this much institutional, and this much commercial growth. And then the costs are divided by how much growth that is expected.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks.
Any other questions, clarifications, follow-up at this point? Yep.
Just to Lisa's point, like she said, there's 4 different categories for housing. There's apartments, 1 bedroom, bachelor apartments, 2 or more bedrooms, multi-units, townhouses, single, semi-detached units. We have 1. So in this case, yes, if you're not differentiating where the money's going, well, there's 4 different options for housing. Why isn't there multiple options for us? For people that are using the rates are all different. Obviously, it's different sizes and so on and so forth. But why isn't there multiple than non-residential, commercial or industrial uses, warehouse, storage? They should be differentiated. Because as you can see, I'm paying a lot of money for something that is not being used. So why not have multiple options in this as well, like housing?
Is that a result of how the Development Charges Act sets out how municipalities collect development charges?
Municipalities do have the option of, if they wanted to break down specific categories, so we'll say non-residential. So if they wanted to split out institutional, commercial, industrial, that could be something a municipality could choose to do. And if they wanted to further split out specific industries, that is something they could do. It's not common because it becomes very difficult then to generalize across entire industries in terms of how much services they're using.
Did you have your hand up, Deputy Mayor, or maybe?
A comment on that, like, it's almost like no, not Ron, not the billing, but the sheet of paper Matt was referring to, it's almost a little bit for, again, I'm thinking of, forward and other people looking at it, it's almost for commercial could be, unfortunately, same outcome, but could be presented maybe as what Matt's holding up now. I'm talking about his paper, not your paper, Matt, what Matt's holding up from our website. Like Lisa, could you see that can maybe be presented a little bit differently by us?
It would be up to a municipal council to decide if they wanted to do that.
Mhm.
They would have to provide direction to do that. Generally, in most municipalities, non-residential is just all categorized together.
It is. It's not listed like Matt, like on our website.
No, that
Oh.
the way it
It
is
is.
split is
It's typically what it's there, and it's just, yeah. it's just-
that is required, like, that's a good thing to do under the Development Charges Act, because then it shows where the monies are going that are collected.
And it's just your choice whether whether you're using all of those or some of those or none of those services.
Well, it's based on what projects are included in the
Right,
development
in the
charge
development
background
charge,
study.
yeah.
So if you didn't have a stormwater project, you wouldn't have a stormwater category.
Okay, any further clarifications or questions? Is there anything else you wanted to add at this time, Matt?
No, I'm good.
Um,
Just, quite a bit of information. I don't know if, certainly, I don't know if there was expectations of a decision tonight, but I don't know if we could ask for a staff report back or something on this. Maybe a recommendation by staff to get back to us. I don't know, or what. Again, I just hearing Lisa talk and Matt talk and staff, I don't want to mislead Matt. I mean, Matt, I do. I would, I don't know how much I agree, you know what I mean? I agree with your protest charge here. I do, I don't want to, on my decision here to ask for a staff report, but I just want to let you know, I'm not, I'm in between on making a motion or waiting to hear back from staff.
So through you, Madam Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor, I just want to clarify and ask Lisa. So if there's not a decision tonight, the motion requesting a staff report is fine, but I think our understanding is that there has to be a definite date. So for example, the staff report for the next council meeting, which is April 22nd, 2 weeks from tonight, that date has to be in that motion, correct?
That's my understanding.
and how does that, and I guess asking for a staff report, extending this by another 2 weeks, that still falls within timelines because I think the only prescribed one was that it had to be appealed within a certain period of time and then, but we're under no obligation to make a decision tonight. We can,
That is correct.
okay, so that still doesn't play with appeal timelines or anything like that. Okay. Okay, with that, do you want to make a
I'll make
motion
a-
then, Deputy
I'd
Mayor?
make a motion to ask for staff recommendation for April 26th meeting. 22nd, sorry.
Second that.
Okay, and seconded by Councillor Regan. Any further discussion on that? Councillor Hodgins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd support the motion, but I just, is it worth that we have some deliberation here, have some comments, maybe back to Matt now? I don't know if we want to share any like of our own thoughts on it, where we may stand, or do we just want to take this information in and come back? Or I don't know what council's thoughts are on this.
Did you have, I mean, I would say I'm with the deputy mayor. I'm not, I mean, as he started with his comments, like we've never gone through this before. This has never been asked. And quite frankly, I didn't realize it was even a tool available. So, this is, it's new territory. So I think you're trying to get an understanding of, again, what that means. Should we say, okay, yep, absolutely. What does that mean from a precedent setting, for the municipality, that sort of thing? Are there other options available to us to, I think that it's just a lot of information, and trying to work through it. That's kind of where I'm at. So I don't know if anybody else has any.
Well, no, I think what Councillor Hodges meant, I think he said, I support your motion, but I'd like to tell Matt my feelings. And I'd like to tell Matt, I think that's what he said. I support your motion. So I would like to hear that. And I think staff would like to hear the comments and like, I think that's what you said.
Yeah,
But
yeah, sure. And I guess, we've got some information in front of us. We've heard from Matt, we've got our questions and clarifications, and we have Lisa here now to clarify. So I guess maybe staff can give us some more information at the next meeting, but I think we all sympathize with Matt and the situation that he's in. These are unforeseen costs that you didn't think you were going to experience. I think we as council all value your business and the investment in the community. I guess I'm challenged to go against the development charges, and just looking at it, black and white, what the rules say and what your argument is. I don't think it's, I don't see it, I guess, or it meeting that test of what the Development Charges Act says. I think it's an unfortunate timing thing. The way that, we passed the development charges in June of the year and then you purchased it in December, would have been amazing if you had been the original purchaser, maybe, in the past, and could have benefited from those DCs not being in place. And I think it's good that the business was able to benefit in the past through there not being DCs. But just my position on it, I think I'm going to have trouble going against the development charges and not applying the rules even-handedly. I'm sure even our residential DCs have gone up dramatically, and people just building a single family home are now facing it's gone from I think 7,000 to 30,000 plus. So I'm sure there's a lot of people in the same boat of just kind of, the timing's unfortunate. So I struggle with that a little bit, but I'll look forward to the staff report, and I'm supportive of that motion, having some more discussion there. And maybe we'll see you there in the gallery as well to listen in, but.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, I'm not saying there shouldn't be development charges. The development charges are fine. What I want to understand is the way that they're allocated. And I understand that the town needs, I want to grow with this town. We like it here. It's worked out really well for us and we're happy that way. But I just don't, I think it's an unfair tax. You're taxing me for something that my business isn't going to use. Houses have 4 different options. The 1-bedroom bachelor apartment doesn't have the same DC as a townhouse or a 2-bedroom apartment does. That's different. I pay the same no matter what, even though I'm not going to use the sewer charges. So once again, absolutely, the development charges are fine and the fact that they're in place, it's not that, like I said, we're not discussing the smaller building. Paid in full, done, have my permit, off we go. My point is, I'm paying for something that I'm not using. Why do I have to do that? I'm not saying that the other reason I bring this up is I have friends and other business owners in London that have got credits. And not credits for building, but just basically, or maybe it's a rebate because I'm not using it. Just because it's there, it doesn't mean it's right. And maybe this needs to be changed. Maybe there should be 2 different options here. If I'm doing warehouse, why am I paying sewer on it? I want to pay my fair share. Absolutely. I want to pay that. I just think this is an unfair, basically, tax on that building that's not using any of these services. If you wanted to increase or charge an extra $1 or $2 a square foot for something else, whatever that may be, that's fine. But in this case, we brought in the hydro, we brought in all the water, we did all the sewer, we're doing all the things ourselves. And to Jeff's point, I kind of pushed Jeff on it. The reason the easement went in, that easement's just an extension of an existing easement. And we wanted to keep this thing moving and get this done as quickly as possible. And Jeff was great. We got that in and done. And as far as I know, I think you have it out to tender to actually take that down and service the other 3 lots now, which is great. The town's growing. So once again, I just want to reiterate, I'm not complaining about development charges. It's just how these are basically where they're allocated and why I'm paying for them.
No, I think we understand that. Just before, I've got 2 questions. Just, you're asking for a credit, not a refund. And the credit has to be, there's certain, again, prescriptions under the Development Charge Act. So how does that work? Or when you say credit, do you actually mean refund?
Any kind of money coming back my way is what I mean. I guess I could have brought my lawyer and I could have had them sitting here and
Yeah,
they
no,
would-
no, okay,
but
understood.
basically, yes.
Okay,
The long and short of it is yes, I
Okay.
think I'm paying for something and I
No.
would like some of that back.
no, that's fine. Perfect. And then just so I'm clear, so with a staff report, given that this is an application, a hearing under the Development Charges Act, does the staff report then do we have to have another special meeting? Is it separate from council meeting, or will it be part of a council meeting?
It's a good question. And I'll look to our consultant because I don't get the impression that it has to be a separate special meeting because this is really the hearing. This is classified as a hearing today for the process. Afterwards, I think it's a simple staff report, same as any other staff report. So.
Yeah, the Development Charge Act doesn't specify that it needs to be another public meeting or another hearing.
Just the date. Okay. So just so that you know, then if the motion passes, then we'll discuss it at the April 22nd meeting. We start at 6, be probably whatever time. I don't know if there's planning that night, but we can staff can kind of give you an idea of maybe when that might fall time wise. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So there's a motion on the floor to ask for a staff report and bring it back on April 22nd. It was moved by Deputy Mayor Manders. It was seconded by Councillor Regan. All in favor of that? And that's carried. Thank you very much. With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn this at 5:45. Councillor Regan and Deputy Mayor Manders, all in favor?